What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to a brand new episode of Maximus the Fourth. What I have to present to you guys today is the original, authentic Kansas City Sarsaparilla. Now, this was gifted to me by DJ Glowing Ice, and I'm very excited to review this for you guys. Now, as I was doing some research on this, the articles were very limited and very skimpy. So much so that I figured it wasn't even worth it. It probably would be best to just go back and watch Mr. DJ Glowing Ice himself do a review on this, because this guy has the ability somehow to dig for information where there is none. So I knew if I watched his video that he was already going to have all the codes cracked. So without copying him completely to an oblivion, I'm going to see if I can put this into my own words as best as I possibly can. So without further ado, before we taste test this, which I will let you guys know exactly what I think, I will most likely give you guys a score on a scoring system of a scale of 1 to 10, and then that'll be the end of this video. So without further ado, let's dig right into this. Here we go. When you first look at the back of this bottle, it does read, no matter which end of the horse you're working with, there's nothing like an ice-cold Kansas City sarsaparilla to quench your thirst. Wait for me, it's sarsaparilla time. If you take a look at the bottle, right at the very front, there is looks like that might be a black stallion horse with a cowboy riding it. And kind of like in the old days how it says wanted. This is a scribe that has a rope wrapped around it for graphic, dramatic effect. And there's indeed a cowboy right down there with a shovel in his hand. Now, sarsaparilla really was the old school root beer. Like back then, have you guys ever seen that movie Tombstone where Curly Bill, he's going rah, 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 and he's shooting his guns all over the place? Well, the reason why he was doing that is because he was jacked up on opioids, and they didn't technically call it heroin back then, but it was definitely opiates that he was jacked up on. That's why he was going so nuts. Blah, blah, blah. So much like opiates basically being referred to as heroin back then, sarsaparilla was pretty much known as the root beer. If you went into a bar or anywhere, this was the drink to get. Like, this was even before root beer, but it is very similar to root beer. So, I don't know how much more I can break that down to you guys. This was known as the root beer back then. So, sarsaparilla was basically the root beer in the wild, wild west. Now, moving forward, I do have a little bit of information that I wrote down. And there's a guy that goes by the name of Charles Hires. If I'm not mistaken, he's actually the one who originally created sarsaparilla. And he used it as a medicine. And he created it in his pharmacy back in I believe it was 1869 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And there are 3 really well-known health benefits that this had. The first one was it would help you sweat. The second one is that it would help your appetite go up. And thirdly, it helped purify your blood. Now, this is a pretty obscure item. You can't just find it anywhere. here in the States, although if you look hard enough, you might be able to. I think DJ Glowing Ice found his at an Ace Hardware store, but for the most part, where this is most popular is in the Asian regions. So, with that said, looking at my notes here, this was made with birch oil and dried root bark of sassafras. That's pretty much all I have. So, there's really nothing else to do but to open up this bad boy, and I'll let you guys know exactly what I think about it. I've tried one sarsaparilla before, but definitely not this kind, the Kansas City Authentic Sarsaparilla. So I'm very, very excited about this. This is actually one of the most obscure videos that I remember of DJ Glowing Ice. That and the birch beer soda, which I'm also going to try, and I'm super excited about. So here we go. Kansas City Sarsaparilla, ladies and gentlemen. Now before I dump this in the ice, I'm going to give it a few sips, even though it's not that cold. Oh man, so right off the bat, this is like more robust smelling than root beer. And for those of you that don't know, even to this very day, people use sarsaparilla to make root beer. So this really is the godfather of authenticity when it comes to root beer. It was even before root beer, and that's pretty impressive if you ask me. This goes a long ways back. The only other soda that I can really think of before sarsaparilla, that's one of the very first cola sodas ever, was Moxie, and that is a really cool story. Here we go. Ooh, that is so good. That is way better than the sarsaparilla that I had. I love Barq's root beer, and the best way I can describe the difference between this Kansas City bottle as opposed to the other one that I had, it makes the difference between basically drinking an A&W root beer and Barq's. The Barq's just has a bite to it, a punch that you cannot ever forget. Completely unforgettable. Oh man, that is so refreshing. I love that. Let's try some of this in the ice. Not too much here. I don't want to get too crazy with the sugar. As you guys can see, I've been cutting way back on my pie portions because it's just too much. What do we have here in the ice? Oh my gosh, holy stinking moly, that is good. It's just got such a creamy flavor to it. You wouldn't think that sarsaparilla, which is the original root beer, the root beer of old, would be so good. I mean, it's just so smooth and creamy. And it bites just enough to where you're going to love it. And not hate it and feel like you're being punched out as far as the sweetness goes. Let's try just a little bit more. No more than that. Guys, I'm here to tell you, this is a hidden gem. Even tasting it, just the way it flings off the tip of your tongue, you can definitely tell that there is birch oil and dried root bark of sassafras that's in it, whatever that is. You could just intuitively know exactly what they're talking about without even knowing what that is. This thing is loaded with health benefits. The sugar is definitely not good for you, but Yeah, you better believe it. I mean, if you use this in moderation, it's going to help your health, no doubt about it. I have zero doubts about that. So the way that they marketed this and presented it, I would definitely give that a 10 out of 10, easy. But as far as the overall taste goes, man, this thing easily gets an 8. Overall, the marketing and the taste and the backstory on it, I give this thing a 9 out of 10. I would recommend this Kansas City Sarsaparilla to anybody out there, any soda fan. Excuse me. So that said, if you guys ever find this Kansas City Sarsaparilla authentic, pick that sucker up. There's no way in the world you will regret it. And that's it. Maximus the Fourth here. I am signing out, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'm out.